Thank you for joining us for this edition of David's Question of the Week, presented by NM Fiber Network. As New Mexico's statewide middle mile backbone, we're committed to keeping you informed about the technologies, opportunities, and challenges shaping connectivity. Here's this week's question.
Meet points allow our networks increased efficiencies. So it's good to be able to get to a certain segment of the U.S., via Los Angeles, via Dallas, or via Albuquerque. But certain interconnect points, certain meet points, if you will, are going to provide a much more efficient use of the bandwidth. For example, if I'm a DIA customer in New Mexico that simply wants to reach Google servers, for example, or Amazon hosted networks, for example, or any one of the big network providers across the U.S., the big name providers, the best place to reach them is at each one of these interconnect points. The failover, the redundancy, all the network elements that make up our resiliency allow us to be able to do that in a very efficient manner. The more meet points we have, the more options and failovers and fallbacks we have. For example, the interconnections to the main providers in those three cities that we mentioned is one level of efficiency. Another level of efficiency is a step down from that would be at our local level, which is our state network level, our NM fiber level. There we have interconnections and efficiencies from member to member. And another level under that are the interconnections and efficiencies that each member has to their local providers in turn. Places like in Lee County, where Windstream Kinetic is a provider. There's efficiencies and interconnects with that. Other places for other members might be the same provider, might be another provider. But each and every level of the network has interconnections to increase efficiency. If a call, for example, or an access connection needs to go locally and stay on member for that network, it doesn't make sense for me to ship that traffic all the way to Albuquerque, for example, and bring it back down here. On the other hand, obviously, if it needs to get to Albuquerque, we have a direct connection there, but if that connection fails, we can route that through Dallas and then back to Albuquerque because of redundancy. So the interconnects, the handoffs, the places that we meet our fellow members, those places are important, but what separates NM Fiber Network from any other standard telephony network, like I just laid out there, is the fact that our network is native throughout all of the state of New Mexico. It's not a mosaic type network where, each member has its own network, but there's very delineated boundaries around each. In the case of NM Fiber Network, it's a true native end-to-end NM Fiber Network owned fiber asset. So the capacities that we bring and the level of efficiency that we bring to New Mexico are significantly greater than you would have on your standard type of network with many interconnects, for maximum flexibility and efficiency. We retain those interconnects, that flexibility and efficiency at the member level. At the above that member level, once you hit the state of the New Mexico fiber state network level, there's a different set of efficiencies that are better served by it being owned by a single entity, in this case NM Fiber Network. And that's a neat piece of the way that we were able to build NM Fiber Network from the ground up. And it's not because we're smarter than anybody else, it's just we had the opportunity to look at what other states did and in retrospect decide, hey, we probably should have done it this other way. So we got to benefit from all of those other state networks that have already been put in place that are working great, and we got to benefit from some of those early missteps perhaps, and able to create something that suits New Mexicans well, and that's able to serve the state of New Mexico at a much higher level of capacity and efficiency, maybe a little later into the game, but it also allowed us to be able to put something together that's much better than the predecessors as a result.
Connection fuels opportunity, and at NM Fiber Network, we're building the backbone that makes that possible. Thanks for joining us for David's Question of the Week. Till next time, stay connected, stay curious, and for more information, go now to nmfibernetwork.com.